Hey guys, this is Ray at Phone Arena. I'm here at Samsung's event in Barcelona as part of NWC 2014, and it's the event that the manufacturer just unveiled its latest Android flagship smartphone, the Galaxy S5. So it's the phone you've all been waiting for, and what I'm gonna do actually right now is to just go ahead and compare this bad boy to what could be considered probably its biggest rival, the Apple iPhone 5S. Of course, Samsung, Apple, court trials and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and see what we can find in terms of differences between these two devices. Now, obviously, starting off with the designs of these two handsets, they have gone for a tremendously different approach as far as build quality goes, as far as appearance and overall style goes. So with the Galaxy S5, we have its traditional Samsung design language, at least when the front side is concerned. However, the back side is where the new thing happens. So we have this new glam look. It's the glam style, which is designed, of course, to make the Galaxy S5 appear more exquisite, more beautiful for Samsung's consumers out there. And we really like this new approach with the Galaxy S5. It's still a plastic, but it feels more high quality. It has a very nice warm touch to it, especially the dotted pattern that picks up the light like this. It actually makes the smartphone look really stylish, especially in some of the fancier colors like blue and copper gold. But on the other side of the barricade, we have the Apple iPhone 5S, which is very well known and which relies on Apple's tried and true design principles for a premium feeling, for exquisiteness. It's an iconic design, one that cannot be rivaled so easily, especially when Apple is always going for the highest quality of production when it comes to its products. And the same, of course, holds true for the iPhone 5S. It has this nice glass pieces here on the back. It has the aluminum surface on the back as well. And the whole handset feels, as a whole, feels very premium and very high quality made. So these are the two different, approaches that both Samsung and Apple have made. So on one hand, with Samsung, we have the more approachable plastic design, but still it's pretty light, and it's still relatively compact, for this large screen size that it's backing. And speaking of screens, the new display here on the Galaxy S5 is a 5.1-inch Super AMOLED, of course, so it's slightly bigger than what we had on the S4, and of course it simply dwarfs the 4-inch display on Apple's finest here. So the resolution is still 1080p, so that's 1080 by 1920 pixels. Some might be, disappointed that this handset hasn't, stepped up its game in the resolution department with a QHD display. But the display actually looks perfectly fine. It's very, very extremely detailed, even at this screen size with 1080p resolution. So we think this is actually a perfect resolution for this screen size. Meanwhile, with the iPhone 5S, as I said, it has a 4-inch screen with a resolution of 640 by 1136 pixels. Still a very good, very high pixel density, though it's not really as excellent as what you get with the Galaxy S5. Plus, the larger size of the S5's screen is naturally going to make things much more easier to read, much more easier to see overall. So moving on from the displays and right into the interface portion of this comparison video. So, Galaxy S5 is running Android 5.5, it's running Android 4.4 KitKat here with Samsung's newest version of TouchWiz on top. And of course, on the iPhone 5s, we have the good old iOS 7 look with the colorful icons, translucency effects, and stuff like that. So one thing that we're especially glad to say is that Samsung has revamped its user interface, but absolutely in the right direction, you know what I mean. They have toned things down basically with the software icons, and UI elements are now flatter. There isn't so much gimmicky stuff going on with this software here on the phone. Everything actually, I see that Samsung have dwarfed actually the lag that's available with the phone. It's actually probably the second most responsive handset that I've tried next to the iPhone 5s. So yeah, it's still lacking a bit here and there in terms of control that you have when manipulating with the handset. But overall, it's almost zero lag experience here with the Galaxy S5, and it actually seems faster compared to the Nexus 5, to me at least. Now, of course, thanks to Android and Samsung's TouchWiz UI, you have widgets, you have app folders here on the home screen of the phone, different kinds of widgets, a lot of nice functionality here going straight on the home screen of the handset, whereas of course you know that you can get this kind of stuff with the iPhone 5s, save for these signs here, the badges that show you if you have one missed message and things like that. But of course with the Android on the GS5 you can just put a widget there to show you your latest messages straight from your home screen. So it's a great flexibility that Android and Samsung's TouchWiz UI enable us with. Meanwhile, we shouldn't forget that the iPhone 5s uses iOS, which is practically the system that redefines ease of use. So it's a great operating system, very easy to learn and get started with and just do great things with without it requiring much from you. So these are just some of the pros and cons of these software operating systems loaded here on these phones. Now the processors in these devices, now on the Galaxy S5 we have a quad-core Snapdragon 800 series processor clocked at 2.5 gigahertz, and of course it has the Adreno 330 GPU. So as you can see, it's practically future-proof, this phone. It's flying, system performance is great, and I'm sure that even having third-party applications will be simply running fantastically on this phone. As far as the iPhone 5s is concerned, it has the newest Apple i7 chip, which is 64-bit, which is still a world first on a commercial smartphone, and it also is the embodiment of great smartphone performance. So these two great rivals, even in the performance department, it's very hard to us to call a winner, you know. So both are extremely good. Now, in terms of memory, the Galaxy S5 should come with 2 gigabytes of RAM. And to the iPhone, of course, we have just 1 gigabyte, but that's enough for iOS to run smoothly. And of course, when it comes to storage space, we have a bunch of different options with both, with 1630 to 64 gigabytes of preloaded memory. One thing now that the Galaxy S5 has, though, and the iPhone 5s doesn't, is that the Samsung Galaxy S5 is now IP67 certified, so it's water and dust resistant. It can resist basically splashes of water, and it can even go underwater for for a set amount of time, probably about up to half an hour, but please don't try this at home. And the iPhone 5s, as I said, lacks that kind of protection. Hopefully the next version will get this. And so let's turn our attention now to the cameras of these handsets. Galaxy S5 has a 16 megapixel camera with LED flash right here. You know, it was a great camera phone, the Galaxy S4, and now we hope that the S5 will be even better than its predecessor. It also comes with a bunch of very cool features here. For example, you can now capture real-time HDR shots and even video. So what that means is that even before taking a picture, the Galaxy S5 enables you to use the HDR option and kind of get a nice preview of what's going to happen with HDR. So as you can see that scene over there, now I'm turning off HDR and the darker areas in the background are getting darker. As I enable HDR, things just as I enable HDR, you saw that some suits over there in the background became that much more visible. Of course, the iPhone 5S has had HDR function for quite a lot of time now, but it's a bit different. It's if you will, post-production HDR. So you basically push your shutter key and then just hope to get a nice picture. Whereas with the S5, you get an instant preview of what's going to come out of your camera. So guys, this was kind of our first hands-on look, an early comparison between the Galaxy S5 and the Apple iPhone 5S. Please check us out at phonearena.com if you'd like to learn more about these two amazing smartphones.